This is a Republic Notice. The title of this Republic Notice is called Obesity, the New Gay. Obesity, the New Gay. In the news recently, President Obama signed 2 executive orders talking about gay discrimination. Well, let's talk about a discrimination that is widely accepted. The discrimination that seems to be part of this American dynamic that is so widely accepted as an acceptable discrimination is obesity. So let's make obesity, and obesity is the new gay. I'm making it the new gay. Since you want to talk about discrimination of what somebody do behind closed doors and their sexual preferences, well, we're going to talk about this physical that you see widely in front of you. Excuse the pun of widely. But it's very prima facie in your face. I mean, the evidence of this obesity is very visible. I mean, it's not something that they do behind closed doors. They have to go to work, they have to function in society, they have to get in cars, they have to get on buses, they have to board planes, they have to find mates, they have to live in homes, or they have to have a place to live, they have to sleep in beds, they have to face the world. They have to face the world, and they can't hide what they do behind closed doors and then come and say, oh, you need to accept what we do behind closed doors, and then make legislation for what we do behind closed doors in our personal sexual preferences. And then you want to talk about the genetics? Okay, scientists know. Scientists know that the genetics of obese people have a propensity genetics. In other words, if a parent is obese, then the child can be obese. But let's look at this word obese first. Do you hear this word? Do you hear this word obese? Obese. You calling somebody an obese? You calling a human being obese? Obese. You're morbidly obese. You're obese. You're calling them a beast in a sly way. Now, I don't know who came up with this terminology, but it was meant to be an accepted, listen to the language now, it was meant to be an accepted degradation that fat people are obese. Now, this is why they have accepted the way society treats them. They have actually accepted it. They have ingrained it, and they are a self-hating individuals within themselves. I mean, they look and judge what society calls obese people. Obese is not the proper terminology anyway, but this is what society calls it. So I'm calling this obese as the new gay. The new gay movement of civil rights and non-acceptance of discrimination. No longer would obese people accept this discrimination when what you see visibly is in front of your face. It's not something they asking you to accept that they do behind closed doors. They carry their disability within your face, and society sees them as disabled, especially when they morbidly obese. Now let's talk about the real terminology of what these people should be called. Because obese is the new gay, okay? If gay is the new black, then this heavy-duty discrimination against obese people makes obese the new gay, okay? Obese is the new gay, the new cause, the new movement, the new legislative agenda, the new political strategy, because a lot of obese people vote, okay? A lot of obese people vote. A lot of obese people have economic dollars. A lot of obese people run corporations. A lot of obese people live in America. A lot of obese people are intelligent. A lot of obese people will no longer accept this open, easy acceptance of discrimination, of criminalization of their obesity. Since the proper term and how we should see obesity is being distorted by the word obese, you're calling them obese, so saying that they should be acceptedly discriminated against. Now, the good term that should be used for obesity, if you're talking about a black American, since they worked 400 years, their genetics, cell memory, held on to a starvation for 3 to 4 centuries on a cellular level. They were starved while they worked from sun up to sundown in astronomical labor. And astrological, okay? So this genetic cell memory holds on to fat because as far as the cell is concerned, blacks only been free for a minute, and the cells had 3 to 4 centuries, where blacks only been out of chattel slavery for like 150 years or so. So the fact that the cell genetic memory see the cells as still in a starvation mode. Starvation mode. You know what that means? That means many blacks are malnourished on the cellular, on the intercellular internucleus cell genetic memory. They are malnourished. Malnourished. They're not obese. They're genetically cell malnourished. Their cells still see them as malnourished. And then the recent atrocities that go along with the genocide that's inflicted upon them, the still attritioning, the still reminding them of their chattel slavery, because society keeps reminding them of it. And so it keeps igniting this genetic cell memory to hold on to their body fat to keep them alive, because the only thing that kept them alive was their cells holding on to salt and their body fat, whatever they had left. Now, they are not obese. The proper term is they're malnourished. Now, they can be malnourished on different levels. They can be mildly malnourished. They can be a medium malnourished, or largely malnourished, or extremely largely malnourished. And an extremely largely malnourished black person would be what you call a morbidly obese black person. A medium or largely malnourished people is what you would call, a overweight black person. Now, as far as white people are concerned, since they did not suffer the genetic starvation, and I'm gonna get back to black people because there's one point I want you to know before, well, let me get back to them now before I move on to the white person. Okay, we have some black people who are naturally slim. Now, these naturally slim black people, we can come and we can analyze the evidence of common sense, say, well, if they're naturally slim, and their genetic cell memory don't remember too much starvation, then we can analyze and we can conclude that they were part of what we refer to as the house niggers, or they come from a line of house niggers, where they was in the house and they wasn't on the field from sun up to sundown. In the house, they had access to more foods. They could taste foods while they was cooking it for their masters, and they had access to preparation, so they had access to food. They didn't work from sun up to sundown, having to steal pieces of food. So we have some black people that are naturally slim. They have no genetic memory of starvation because they come from a line where their people worked in the house. And then the field ones are usually the ones that have the real malnourishment, and sometimes extremely large levels of malnourishment. They was always under a feast of famine, and their cells reacted. So that's the difference between some black skinny people you see in America and some black fat people you see in America, that we call the fat ones obese, but they are malnourished. Some extremely malnourished, some moderately malnourished, and some a medium malnourished, depending on their weight. They're not obese. They're not your beast. And they're not your beast fodder. And we want discrimination legislation now, since a lot of black women carry the weight of this society and has carried the weight of this society for 400-500 years, and that weight of her genetic cell memory carries it physically on her back. And they make a big, and see, this fool named Tommy, he's going around calling her, and a lot of these black men who are so lizard controlled by demons, they go around calling this black woman who has carried the weight of this country, they go around calling her a beast. You see how that ties into obesity? They call her beastie. And that ties into obesity. You see why this is an accepted form of discrimination? Okay, so obese is the new gay. Now, as far as Caucasian women who are obese, they are not in the same category as the DNA and genetic cell memory as black women who carry a large portion of the weight in this country as being obese. They're not in the same category. But let me tell you what white people carry. They're not obese either. That's not the proper term. That's why I said it's the new gay, because we got to fight this. We got to fight this beasthood category of people who have physical metabolic challenges, okay? They have physical metabolic challenges. All of them don't sit there and just gorge on food, because a lot of them have physical metabolic challenges and genetic cell memory and other things going on. As far as white people is concerned, in America, And I go from black to white because I go from the least population, or that's been here the longest, and then some of the majority population, some who are many just recent immigrants, but a lot of whites have been here longer, but we know a whole lot of recent immigrants too, or recent illegal immigrants. But nevertheless, the white people who carry all this weight in this country and are physically appear obese and morbidly obese, what we refer to them as is the proper medical analyzation of them is poisoned. They're poisoned. They have no real genetic cell memory, but they're being poisoned. And they are mildly poisoned. If they're mildly overweight, they are have a medium amount of poison. If they are, in the mid to being overweight, if they're extremely overweight, they're extremely poisoned. If they are morbidly obese, they're extremely poisoned. So they're poisoned. We're looking at the poison levels in them. We're looking at the malnutrition levels in blacks and the poison levels in whites. So the obesity in whites is the poison level in whites. The obesity in blacks, what we call obesity in blacks, is the malnourishment in blacks. And then on top of this malnourishment in blacks, we have what we call food market deserts. Food market deserts where black people dwell. Nobody want to open up a supermarket. The rural development will be held accountable for this. USDA, Department of Agriculture, can form a cooperative where them black people dwell, put them to work with their damn money, and have them set up proper nutrition where they can have access to food and stop running to the corner store. This is no excuse for this in the 21st. That you refuse, the USDA of Agriculture refuse to make sure a proper supermarket is there for them to have a balanced meal in the country of extreme amount and plenty. So obesity is the new gay, because we cannot no longer accept this so-called, automatic discrimination of people who are metabolically challenged. One of the reasons is because the healthcare industry keep telling these people, you lose weight before I do anything to you. If that's the case, then these hospitals need to set up a ward in all their hospitals where these patients that have metabolic challenges go and are kept abreast of their conditions, okay? Because, I know, and I've seen this before. I knew a girl in Vermont, and she was black, and she was extremely malnourished, which means to you she was morbidly obese. She went to a hospital and told them she thinks she was having a miscarriage because she was in pain. And she said, I need help. And they told her, honey, you're not having no miscarriage, because they don't think this woman had sex. They don't think she had sex because she was heavy, and I guess they concluded she couldn't do whatever. And they told her they had no machine to put her in to take a look at her or something to that effect. And they sent her home. They didn't keep her in the hospital for observation. They sent her home where she almost died as this blood began to leave her body. And I'm talking about this is blue, deep purple blood. I mean, that busted either an artery or something. They sent her home to die. They sent her home to die. This is why we need legislation. Because this accepted form of discrimination leads to an innumerable amount of deaths. Because the healthcare industry don't want to take the time to understand a metabolic challenge. They want to punitively damage and punitively mentally transfer their discrimination to the metabolically challenged people, and therefore not provide them with proper healthcare and assistance. That's why obesity is the new gay. F that other BS that you're talking about. What you do behind closed doors is what you do behind closed doors. But let me tell you something. Black people are constitutional citizens. They're protected class anyway. And I'm saying with their protected class and amendments, we need anti-discrimination against obese people. Anti-discrimination against obese people. Anti-discrimination against extremely overweight people. They need jobs. They need to work. There need to be some policies, adjustments in corporations, in businesses, in state, federal, and local government. There need to be policy adjustments, and there need to be adjustments where these people is taught and teased, the other employees or people will be reprimanded. The days are over. Since you want to talk about discrimination, let's talk about real discrimination that's been under our nose. that we have all accepted and made fun of. Because way more of them died than those who behind closed doors prefer a same sex. Okay? Obesity is the new gay. And this is coming from the original ugly fat ass, okay? I'm the original ugly fat ass. Ugly, universal, linking God to Jerusalem. Fat, first alpha, terrestrial. Ass, ascended serpent structure. I'm the original ugly fat ass. Mary Omni from the house of King David. Shalom.